President Trump says he's pardoning Congressman Henry Cuellar, the Democrat, and his wife both face federal charges on a bribery and conspiracy indictment. Both have denied wrongdoing.
Let's go straight to the White House and our Elena Tree. Elena, why is Trump moving to pardon a Democrat here?
Yeah, look, we're just learning this now from the president posting about it on Truth Social. And he's arguing that this is just the latest kind of pardons that he's issuing because he's arguing that the Biden administration went too far. In this case, he said that the Biden administration was targeting his political opponents by ousting, in the president's words, the former Texas Democrat, Henry Cuellar. Now, I'm going to read for you just some of what the president said. He said, "I am hereby announcing my full and unconditional pardon of beloved Texas Congressman Henry Cuellar and Imelda Cuellar is his wife." He said, "I don't know you, but you can sleep well tonight. Your nightmare is finally over." Now, in part of that lengthy post you're seeing, the president also was arguing that the Biden administration, quote, weaponized the justice system against their political opponents and anyone who disagreed with them. What the president is basically arguing here, Wolf and Pamela, is that Henry Cuellar was one of the Democrats who was critical at times of the Biden administration's approach to immigration and the southern border. So that was some of the defense that the president used with this pardon. But I want to be very clear on the crime that Henry Cuellar and his wife were indicted on and convicted on. So this was back in May in 2024. Both Cuellar and his wife were charged with accepting nearly $600,000 in bribes from two foreign entities. That's according to the indictment in a federal court in Texas. So we'll have to see where this comes from. One of my key questions is, in my conversations with people at the White House, I hadn't been hearing talk. You know, we hear talk of pardons all the time. I hadn't been hearing talk of this specific pardon for Cuellar. So the question is, who got in his ear about this? Why is this on the president's mind? But I would argue as well that if you just look at some of the pardons and commutations we've seen the president issue in recent months, a lot of them have been what the Trump administration has argued is geared toward writing, they argue, of a too heavily enforced Biden administration Justice Department. That has been the line we've heard repeatedly from the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, from the president himself, arguing that Biden went too far, that his Justice Department was politicized. And so that's the argument that President Trump is using here to defend this pardon. We're waiting on more details as well for a reaction from Cuellar and what we might see, you know, a potential re-election run for him as well. We'll see what happens from here.
Yeah, he was still facing those charges as he is getting this pardon from President Trump. Thank you so much, Elena. We appreciate it.
CNN's Manu Raji was on Capitol Hill. And Manu, you just spoke to the congressman. What did he say?
Yeah, he's making very clear that he plans to move ahead. As he said, quote, nothing has changed. And we're told that that means that he plans to run for re-election as a Democrat, because there had been a lot of speculation that in the aftermath of Trump delivering this rather stunning pardon to a Democrat in a battleground district from South Texas, that perhaps that Cuellar may decide to change parties, become a Republican, or not run for re-election and give Republicans a huge pickup opportunity in that key district. But just moments ago, he came out and told reporters that, in his view, quote, nothing has changed.
First of all, I want to thank President Trump for this action that you took. On behalf of my wife and my family, I want to say thank you. I think the facts have been very clear about this, but I would also say I want to thank God for standing during this very difficult time with my family and I. Now we can get back to work. Nothing has changed. We will continue working hard. In fact, right now I got another congressman where we're working on some legislation, but I just want to, for now, that is my statement.
And the question would be how Republicans ultimately react to this, because Cuellar has been someone who cycle after cycle has been at the top of the GOP target list, hoping that they could knock him out of that district. Even after he was indicted back in 2024, he ran for re-election in that race. He's one of the more conservative Democrats in the House Democratic Caucus, but has managed to hang on despite the opposition from the right, despite the campaigning by Republicans, and even facing challenges from the left left, potentially facing even a primary challenge in this coming cycle. But what he's indicating to his office, telling our colleague Ellis Kim that yes, indeed, he plans to run for re-election as a Democrat, and now has these charges cleared because of Trump's decision to give clemency, which could give him a boost in a very narrowly fought race here as the House majority is on the line.
And I just want to underscore that news that you just brought us. Not only is he happy, obviously, but that we weren't sure if he was going to run again, much less run again as a Democrat or potentially as a Republican, as you just laid out there, or an independent. He is going to run for Congress again in this. He's a Democrat in a Trump-won district. He's going to run as a Democrat.
Yes, indeed. And that had been the question and concern from Democrats, too, that perhaps there was some deal that was cut where he would not run for re-election, but he's indicating that he is running, Dana.
Okay. Great stuff. Manu, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And my panel is back now, and Isaac Dovere joins the conversation. What's your sense about why this happened?
I think it's pretty clear why it happened. There's a letter that the congressman's daughters wrote to President Trump that appealed very much to him and his sense of Biden going after Cuellar. It didn't really get into much about the crimes that the congressman was indicted for. And in fact, indeed, you see the post in which the president announced the pardon. He didn't say anything about the crimes. $600,000 in bribes that the congressman is accused of taking for acting on behalf of foreign countries, a floor speech, other things that he did. It's just in what the president said about that he feels like this was the Biden administration going after Cuellar because he had been a critic of their border policy. So I think once again it shows what we see over and over in foreign relations and pardons of just how easy it is to appeal to the president. And you go after the things that he cares about and he'll do what you want him to do.
And I just want to underscore the news about Cuellar saying that he is going to run again and run as a Democrat, because it wasn't clear. And it was so unclear that the Democratic leader was on with Pam Brown just last hour, making it was pretty obvious that he was appealing to Cuellar. Please don't do this. Watch.
Do you agree with the president's pardon here? Do you think that that was a good thing then?
I don't know why the president decided to do this. I think the outcome was exactly the right outcome.
Well, Congressman Cuellar, we should note, is one of a handful of House Democrats who sits in a district President Trump won in 2024. So now he has this presidential pardon. Have you had any conversations with the congressman about him potentially switching to the Republican Party?
I think Congressman Cuellar is a highly valued member of the House Democratic Caucus, and I expect that he'll continue to remain a highly valued member of the House Democratic Caucus.
But what he's trying to say there is, I would like to be the Speaker of the House.
That was quite a moment.
I mean, it certainly was. But the reality here is that switching to run as a Republican, even if he would have the president's backing, is by no means a way to stay in. I mean, the best way to likely stay in for the congressman is to run as a Democrat. I mean, so the history is filled with party switchers who have a short shelf life after that. So I think that is one point there. But I think the bigger point, to Isaac's point, just the ability to appeal to the president's senses there. Think of how many people now are writing letters to him to try and get out. This is going to become a full-time
But this is my only thought
job.
on this. I agree. Obviously, we know with Donald Trump, flattery gets you everywhere. But someone had to put that letter in front of President Trump. And there is a reason, a very specific reason, that letter got put in front of President Trump. So we saw the George Santos letters. It's not as though President Trump saw them. Ed Martin put those letters in front of President Trump for a reason. The question now is, what was the reason?
What do you
who
think?
was the person? I don't have the answer right now.
Yeah.
This came out of what seemed to be nowhere. It's something that he had posted about a year ago, saying it was all about Biden. And of course, once you read the letter, it does appeal to him on every level.
Yeah.
But is there something more to it?
James
Again,
Blair,
and by the
political
way,
director, call me.
and I don't mean it means he's switching parties or anything like that, but there was a thought behind this to get that letter
I
to
think
him.
it muddles the pardon news. I mean, the news this week, the president's under attack and under some criticism for the Honduras president being pardoned. So it just adds more to that, I think, is probably the biggest
And real
reason.
quick, as I bring you in, you mentioned George Santos, former member of Congress, who was expelled. Chris Collins, was convicted of insider trading. Duncan Hunter Jr. Was accused of violating campaign laws. Michael Grimm, tax fraud. Those are just some examples. Those are all Republicans who got presidential pardons from Donald Trump.
Exactly. What I find really fascinating too about, and speaking of things that are going to get even more muddled, is the Republican strategy to defeat Cuellar. I mean, I just did a quick search for NRCC Cuellar in my email inbox, and they have been constantly trying to get him ousted for many, many cycles now. They don't necessarily always attack him over his legal issues, but the fact that he now has effectively a Trump seal of approval, I'm sure complicates the messaging for the NRCC in that district.